You know, when I was making this channel, I thought I would come up with a lot of ideas to be able to make videos about for tech tips, IT, trouble recording, videos, Blender, everything. Um, but as I started and actually started narrowing things down, I have a lot more questions than I have answers for. So for today's Thursday Tech Tips, we are going to go over the most common IT questions that customers ask. And we're just going to go over some of those and see if it helps and see if it helps prevent some of those facepalm moments from working. So stay tuned for some more of that. Okay, so one of the first big ones that we find when it comes working with IT is that people forget their passwords. It sounds basic 101, being able to try to remember. But actually, we get this quite a bit, especially with where I work. People are always like, Nick, I forgot it again. Can't get my password working. Nick, my computer's locked out. I can't get in it. How can we get this to work? So there are a few different ways that you can go to view your passwords if you don't remember them, or ways that you can kind of help remember how to make your passwords if you're trying to go about doing it. So let's go through a few of those right now. So right now I'm in Google Chrome. This is the article that I'm using as reference. We're going to just open a new tab here. And now I'm not going to be showing you guys any of my passwords. You guys aren't seeing any of them. Okay. So we're going to come over here to our settings in Chrome. You can actually, there's a few different ways to get there, but how I tend to do it is I look up passwords. And then your password manager will come up. So if we go ahead and select on this, and again, you guys aren't going to be seeing any of this. You have your password manager up and ready to go, and it saves all of the saved passwords that you have saved when that little lock and key comes up when you're trying to save a new password. So why does this help? It allows you to be able to go in and put your Windows password in or your Mac password in to be able to actually recover and work on those passwords. So if you need to change one, update it, you can do all of that here. You can actually add passwords for websites if you know the URL that you want it to go to, the username and the password, you can add them in this menu. Same thing goes for Microsoft Edge. So if we come over here, let's open Edge up. Edge is a little bit easier to get to. If you come back over to the top right hand corner, you go down to settings, and then you're going to go over into privacy, search and services. Oh, actually, it's right here on the front page. You go right over into passwords. And then from here, so for me, I don't have any passwords saved here, but if I did, they would show up in this menu here as well. So we can go ahead and close that out. Now, one of the ways that you can help remember your passwords is when creating it, trying to come up with different ways, sentences, phrases that you could use to try to get any of those made. So for an example, I love watching Facepalm Studio videos. That's an easy one. Or I watch 10 Facepalm Studio videos a day. That would be a long one, but that would be another way for you to make a password that's secure. You can use capital and lowercase letters. Basically, the default thing to think about is when you're making a new password is it should be probably 8 or 10 characters long with a capital letter, a lowercase letter, a number, and a special character. If you have all of those included, odds are that it's going to be a pretty secure password and people won't be able to get into it as frequently. Now, when you go about doing that, though, there's different ways you can go to remember that. You should have different passwords for every website you go to. I will speak of, I use a lot of the same variations of the same password based off of a handful of different words, and they get mixed around, they change things, I change numbers. It's one of those easy ways to know how to change your password or to update your passwords. So that's number one. The second most common thing that people ask about is, Nick, I accidentally moved this file. I have no idea where it went. How do I get that back? I accidentally deleted this out of my folder. Where did it go? How do I recover those? On Windows, it's really easy. All you really do is you can go and check your recycle bin. So if we come down here, hello Premiere, not Premiere, OBS. There's a lot of Nicks on this page. Anyway, so we come down to the desktop. My recycle bin's at the top left-hand corner, so go ahead and click on that. And then here, we can go ahead and just recover something. So say, for example, this raw video that failed, I could just click and drag it back to move it back to the desktop. and it will start moving it automatically. If there's something else that you need to recover that you want to go right back to where it was, you can right click on it and say restore, and that will move it out of the recycle bin. The other good way to know is if you had just done that, you can also hit Control Z on the menu that you are working in, and that will also recover that as well, because it'll undo the last action you did in that folder. So as long as you didn't create a new folder or do any of that kind of stuff, it would drop it right back to where it was. So those are some tips and tricks that you would be able to use for that as well. Number 3, and we kind of talked about this in another video, is slow performance. And the big number one thing that I like to tell people if your computer is running slow is to restart your computer. Make sure you go check out my video on restarting computers, the first video on this channel. One of the biggest things that everybody doesn't do is restart. Uptimers, they get you. Your RAM, your things will be bogged up. Restarting your computer helps. It really does, guys. I can't stress that enough. Go check out the video to learn more about what it's about restarting. But you could also have too much storage on your computer, or too many apps taking up your data, which I have another video about recovering and saving data on Windows 10. So make sure you go check that video out. See, it all works together here, guys. So you may not have enough storage. You might not be using RAM efficiently. You may have 1,000 Chrome tabs over. If you guys notice, in one of my last videos, I had 36 Chrome tabs open. And then I went to start recording today and my computer wouldn't work. So I had to restart. I had to close all my Chrome tabs and get things back up and running. You also may have too many programs starting up on the computer when you first get started. When your computer boots up first thing, all of your apps are going to start loading. That could cause some slowdown. Or heaven forbid, you could have some malware going on. If you have antivirus protection on your computer, like Bitdefender, AVG, I think NordVPN has a few, you can recover and restore and help prevent against those cyber attacks. But if you're looking for help with malware, talk to whoever manages your computer and see what are the best options for you. Don't fall for scams online about trying to fix malware, because odds are you'll try to get more. Make sure you reach out to somebody you know if you're having trouble with your computer, so that way they can help you. I actually probably will not be giving too many malware tips on this channel, because it's just a tricky subject when it comes to your personal data. And if something's happening in the moment, reach out to places like Best Buy, Geek Squad, like try to go to those routes to try to get some help if you're trying to get immediate help. But be careful. Malware's tricky. Malware's tricky about that kind of stuff. Number 4, your computer's overheating. If your laptop is getting hot, or if your desktop, you know that your fans are running really heavy and you need to slow things down, sometimes it's the same kind of thing. You may have a lot of clutter on your desk around things. Space things out. Move some stuff around on your desktop. It'll help. If your computer is stuck under your desk, maybe bring it up onto your desk for a little bit. I had my computer up on my desk for about 3 years or so, but in this new current space, I had to move it down on the ground. But I have plenty of air room where my computer is now, so that way I have the ability to be able to have a lot of airflow coming in and out of my case. I'm also right by the air vent, so if I have the air on, my computer knows that it can bring cool air in to help cool things down. For laptops as well, you can also get some really nice lap desks from Best Buy or from Amazon that can help at least bring it up off your lap and to cool things off underneath it. Let that airflow come through. Help things get cleared out when you're going through it. Number 5 is printer problems. Now, when you're working with your printer, it can be very finicky depending on the printer you're working for. I'm planning on doing a video on the printer that me and Caitlin use here, but when we have different... Printers are tricky. When you have different things that are happening with your printer, it could be a handful of things. Checking to see if there are any stuck jobs, trying to check and see if there are any jams in the printer, being able to check and see if there are any if you have the correct driver installed for the printer. That's a big one that I see a lot in my position. And just general network connectivity. If you're using a USB, if you're using over Wi-Fi, is your wireless working? Are you on the same network as your printer? There's a lot of different stuff that you can check for that as well. And that brings us into the next topic, which is slow internet connection. If you seem like you're having a lot of slow network problems when you're working on your computer, there's a chance that you maybe need to reboot your modem. People don't like touching their network hardware. AT&T put it in there, AT&T leaves it where it is. sometimes a reboot of your router or even your hardware modem can help with a lot of those issues. We get that a lot when we were working with a VPN at work. Users have to sometimes restart their modem for things to be able to connect, because most VPNs need at least 15 megabytes of speed. And if you're not hitting the speeds you need to, sometimes a restart can help. And also, sometimes those restarts can help finish up firmware updates and stuff that your service provider may be installing and trying to get those things loaded a little bit better. So trying to reboot your router is a good way to do it. You can also hardwire into your computer if your computer has an adaptable network port, like a Cat6, Cat5 port. I think those are called... what's the name of that port? Ethernet port. I mean, yeah, your LAN network, your Ethernet port on your computer. By plugging into your Ethernet, it's going to be a direct connection to your modem or to your router, depending on how things are set up. Yeah, so that's that working. And finally, number 7, having problems with your USB. The biggest one, another one with this, is to first restart your computer. If you're having trouble with the USB device after that, unplug it, try moving it to a different USB. I was actually having this happen with my Camlink. I actually had to end up sending my Camlink out to Elgato, but it didn't work on any of my USB ports on my computer or on my laptop, so I had to redo it. I had to send it out. But say if your USB stick isn't working, try plugging it into different ports. See if you get a response that way. Check to make sure the port is clean. If it's a device like a microphone that requires drivers, making sure the drivers and everything are installed for those. Any of those little things can help get that back up and running. That is 7 different things that customers have trouble with IT and tech support. Those are some of the biggest things that I tend to work with on a day-to-day basis. But I want to hear from you guys. If you guys have IT questions or tech support things that you have questions for, please leave them in the comments below. Shoot me a tweet. Like us on Facebook. Post a comment. Comment on us there. I want to have your questions so that way I have more ideas to make for some of these videos. This one's kind of spur of the moment. It's a little funny because it's just so generic, but a lot of these questions, maybe I help somebody. Maybe I help prevent some of those facepalm moments for some of you guys. But that's the point of this channel, is to try to help people out. So if you guys have any ideas, any thoughts, any troubles that you want to hear about, please leave them in the comments below when you go to subscribe to Facepalm Studio. Again, make sure you like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And we will see you guys in the next video. Keep creating. Save the pain. We'll see you guys next time.